Hello and welcome to episode 9, I believe it is, of the Story Seeker podcast. It's been a couple of weeks since my last episode. It's been a busy few weeks, but I'm still hoping to continue being consistent with the podcasts, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I had no plans to record a podcast as of about 5 minutes ago, but it's on my to-do list. I want to be doing these weekly, if possible, as close to that as possible. And last week, so right now I'm in my dorm at college. I am back for second semester. I've been here for 2 days now, and I'll talk more about that later. But my exposure is changing a lot, and I think I should lock that so it's not so annoying. So last week, while I was still at home on winter break, I was a guest on two people's podcasts, which was a really interesting experience. It's totally different from speaking on my own podcast. There's something a lot harder, I think, about it for me personally. Maybe it's just that now I'm sort of used to doing this, but there's something nice about being the only person talking and just being in the driver's seat. I can say whatever I want, and I don't have to react to what anyone else is doing. Whereas when someone is interviewing me, they ask me a question and then I have to come up with an answer, and I want the answer to be good. I want it to be something that can help people. I want to sort of justify why they brought me onto this podcast and why anyone should listen. But there's like that moment after they ask the question where I'm thinking, and like usually the first answer that comes to my head is not that good, but I want to start saying something because I have to say something. Right, and so I don't know, it's just something I find, I think, more difficult currently. But I was lucky enough to get the practice. Just happened that I ended up on 2 podcasts on the same week. I've never done that before last week. One of them was with my friend Joselo, who I know from YouTube. I started watching his YouTube videos and started commenting on them, and he would reply back, and he started watching my stuff, and so we kind of developed this relationship. And actually that's the same way that I met and corresponded with Jake Felzine, who is the other podcast that I was on, who hosted it. Another friend of mine who I've met on YouTube watching his videos and became friends with that way. Never met either of them in person, but it was really cool to have conversations with them. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because in Joselo's podcast, Joselo is really cool. I'll link his channel in the description. He makes, generally he's been making sort of men's self-improvement content and transitioning more into spirituality. And he is just incredibly consistent. Like YouTube is his dream that he wants to do as a job, and he works towards that every single day. He's posting video currently every day on his channel, and I have so much respect for that. And he just, I don't know, I look at people like Joselo, and there are other people like him that I've seen, but they're generally relatively few and far between. The people who ask every question that comes to their mind, even ones that other people might write off as a stupid or basic question, who are just dedicated to putting the work in and consistently showing up. It's the really boring stuff, the repetitive tasks that everyone kind of knows that they should do, or not should, I don't like the word should, but that is how you improve and learn and grow. But that can be uncomfortable and that can be hard to do, and I am not the best at it myself. I made a whole film about perfectionism, and it was based around the way that perfectionism gets in the way of my creative process and my growth and my putting things out into the world. And even though this podcast is meant to be like that, I still have this same resistance that is, I want this to be good. Like, I'm shooting this right now on my phone. I'm sure that you can tell by now with this wireless microphone that probably sounds okay, but not amazing. And I'm just doing it because I'm in school, I'm busy, I'm overwhelmed with a million tasks right now, but I still want to record a podcast, I still want to post a podcast, I still want to practice speaking. And guess what? I can still do all of those things. It's amazing. It's fun for me as a cinematographer to set up a cool looking shot and play with my camera and get good audio and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, that's not the real reason why I'm doing this, and that is not my goal, is to make a pretty podcast. My goal is to make a podcast and to consistently keep making a podcast so I can improve in other skills, like talking to camera, articulating myself, all of those things. So, that's why I'm doing this. And again, I've said this before, but I go back to the same thing of like why I'm doing this podcast and what I want to do every time. But it's just, it's so important to me, and I can't, like, I have to constantly remind myself of that fact that I'm doing this, like, I want to keep doing this. And like my criteria, my bar for what makes a podcast, like, it needs to go down a little bit in order for me to be consistent, and that is okay. And I want to lower that bar because, again, it just won't happen otherwise in certain circumstances. It's great when I have time over winter break, but sometimes, I don't know, there will always be times when I don't have enough time, when I'm busy, and the things that I'm trying to be consistent in, I have to just scale them back, and I have to be okay with that and remind myself that that is perfectly aligning with my goals. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what I want. I want it to be like this. And again, like, I'm reaching my goals by doing this. This podcast, I could end it right now and we're 7 minutes in. That's okay. Like, that's still a podcast. I still talk to camera. It could have been 1 minute of me talking, and that's okay. As long as I made a video, I talked in it, and I uploaded it on this channel, like, that is my goal. So, yeah, I kind of just realized that from talking with Josello and hearing about his process and his goals and his objectives, and he kind of pushed me on it of like, just that, like why not? Why are you not doing that? And it's kind of that question of like, why not? Rather than why. So, yeah, and as of currently, neither of the podcasts are out yet, but I think they will be soon, or at least within the next week. So I'll link those in the description whenever they come out, so you can listen to them if you're interested. I was really resistant to go back to school. I really didn't want to go back to school, which surprised and saddened me, because I didn't think it was going to be like that. When I left school for winter break, I was like, in a good way. Like, I didn't feel like I need this break so much. I felt like I could totally stay here longer. Like, I'm fine here, and I'm sure break will be nice because I won't have work and all that stuff, and I'll be able to see my family, but it'll also be, I'll lose some of the things that I like about being in school. And so, it's not like normal school breaks for me in the past, where it's just like, I want to break really badly, and then I'm really sad coming back. So I didn't think I would be dreading coming back, because I wasn't like, again, it didn't feel like a huge step up in my life, a huge upgrade to go onto winter break from fall semester. But I was dreading coming back, and I don't know, it's just such a weird life in college, just shuttling back and forth between these two modes of life, which are quite different, and I'm sure anyone in college who has been in college can relate. And even, like, I feel like my situation is not even that weird. Like, I'm living close by, so it's not different in that way. I sometimes see my family while I'm in school, and like, my home life is great, and it's not like I'm happy at home. I feel like I can be happy at home, and I feel like I can be happy at school, and yet it's still so different. And when I was on break, towards the end of break, I was just like, all of fall semester feels like a dream that didn't actually happen in real life. And then coming back at first has been, over the first couple of days, has been like going back to sleep and re-entering this dream that I was in. But I think eventually, after a few weeks, that feeling will, I hope, will wear off, or else maybe I'm just insane, and it will feel like real life again. And I guess like going on break also felt a little bit like that at the beginning. But yeah, I am overwhelmed currently. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to figure out. I'm going to new classes because in college every semester you change what classes you take, which is pretty different than my high school experience. And it's cool because it's like a really full reset in that you get a lot of time for break. I get a lot of time for break. I got 3.5 weeks, something like that. A good amount of time away from work and away from school in general. And where was I going with this? Reset. So yeah, and then like you're taking, hypothetically, you could be taking totally different classes, a totally different schedule. It's really weird. It's sort of like starting the year again. You know, it's like starting a new year in terms of how much of a reset it is in some ways. Not fully, but it's relatively close to that. And it's definitely a bigger deal than like the semesters I had in high school, where I usually wouldn't change any classes and it would be a lot shorter breaks in between. So yeah, I'm in a just crazy place right now. My head's spinning a little bit. I'm currently looking at my to-do list as I'm recording this. It's on my computer screen, which is propping up my phone, and there are a lot of things, and yeah, there are a lot of things, and I will have to get through them and figure it out and kind of just settle into what my schedule is going to look like second semester. I have to figure out if I want to drop any classes. I'm currently taking 18 credits, which is the same amount of credits as I took last semester, and I really, going into this, did not want to take 18 credits again, but I signed up for these classes just so I'd have them on my schedule, and then I could decide to drop a class and go down to like 15 credits, which I think will be more manageable and will give me more time to do other things outside of classes. However, I'm not so sure that, I don't know, I'll elaborate on my situation once I sort of talk through the classes I've had so far. Also, random tangent, but yesterday it snowed a bunch here, and so we had remote classes, which was not the best, the classes part, but I was really happy that it snowed. I've been wanting for it to snow on campus and for everything to be covered in snow. We didn't get a ton of snow, but we got some, and it was nice. I love snow. I love watching snow fall, seeing it everywhere. And so yesterday I was supposed to have 3 classes. I only ended up having 1, which is kind of unfortunate because I have to quickly figure out whether I'm keeping or dropping these classes, and I didn't get a chance to actually have 2 of my classes. But I had one of them. It was my cinematography class. It was online, and so I'm taking 2 film classes this semester. Most people are in the major taking a lot more. I'm taking 2 film classes because it's the minimum amount I could take while staying in the film major. These are the 2 classes I have to take to stay in the major. And I mean, I've only been to 1 class and it was remote, but I didn't get the best feeling out of it. And in general, cinematography is the area of filmmaking that I think I have the most in-depth knowledge on. And so, no matter how amazing the class is, there's probably not a ton that I would learn from it, regardless. So, I don't know I don't think I should have expected to, I don't think I should be expecting to love it, and I don't think I will love it. So, it is what it is. It kind of sucks to, I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna stop complaining now. But I'll get back to complaining later. Don't worry. So, cinematography, it is what it is. Today I had 2 non-film classes. So the film classes that I'm not taking, that everyone else is taking, I'm instead taking some random different classes in different disciplines. I'm taking a religious studies class. I'm taking a intro to philosophy class. I'm taking an environmental arts class. So I had the religious studies and philosophy classes today, and they were both great. I liked them both a lot. I liked them both a lot, and which is really exciting because after cinematography, I was just like rethinking things again, and just like it took one class for me to get back to like the same mentality that I was in last semester of what am I doing in these classes, and like not wanting to be there and just feeling like I'd be better off doing something else. And again, I told myself, and I've talked about this on the podcast in the last episode, I told myself I'm going to dive into my classes, I'm going to get the most out of them that I can, I'm going to dive into like extracurriculars and all this stuff, and then just feeling like my first class back, is this all just going to be a failure? Am I just going to be back to what it was last semester because I was like 10 minutes in the class and already complaining about it? I hope my professors don't watch this. I don't see any reason why they would, but maybe one day they might. Or I don't know. I don't think they will. But anyways, so yeah, my religious studies class was cool. It seems like it'll be interesting. I thought it was going to be more of like, we talked today about the difference between theology and religious studies, and I didn't realize there was any difference, and I thought I was taking more of a, now knowing their definitions, I thought I was taking more of a theology class where we're learning about different religious texts and what each religion believes and what are the differences between major religions and all the learning about religions and their rules and all the things, like learning about the religions themselves. But actually religious studies is more about learning about how people practice religions, the function or lack thereof that it serves in society, just everything surrounding how we actually do religion. And so I think both of them are really interesting, and so I thought I was getting the first one, I'm getting the second one. They both seem cool. I'm happy regardless. My teacher seems like she knows what she's talking about. The class seems like it's laid out in a good way. I'm excited. Like it should be a good amount of work, which is what it is, but I think it will be interesting. And I like learning for the sake of learning. And there is something, I'm sure, to like, and we talked about this in my philosophy class, the idea that like I'm choosing to take these classes and I'm not choosing to take the film classes. And so with these classes, I'm just thinking about the positives of them more. I still think like I just like these classes better, but I'm sure it has some effect. Like, just, I was thinking about this in philosophy because my professor was talking about it again, but like when you are made to do something, when your mom tells you to do the dishes, then you're like trying to get back to baseline by doing the task. By doing the task, you've like fulfilled expectations, right? Whereas when you choose to do the dishes, you were already at baseline. You were already at expectations. No one was expecting anything of you. And then by doing it, you're exceeding those expectations, and so you feel good about yourself. And so by taking my cinematography class, I am fulfilling expectations. By not taking that class, obviously I would be not fulfilling expectations. But by taking the religious class, like I don't know, there's a certain good feeling of like I am choosing to do this, and therefore it makes me more likely personally to put more effort into it. Because I know, again, I chose to do this, and if I don't get something out of it, like, that's on me more, because again, I chose to take this as opposed to cinematography. I was made to take it. If I get nothing out of it, oh well, I can blame it on someone else, whoever made me, take that. I don't know if that really made any sense or added anything, but then my philosophy class I had, and my professor I think is amazing. He lectured for pretty much, it was a little interactive, but mainly lectured for an hour and 20 minutes after going through the syllabus and stuff like that. And I loved it. Like, I hung on to every word, and it blew my mind a little bit, which is what I was hoping for. And like, I'm just really excited. I've heard good things about the class from one of my friends here. The Rutgers University philosophy program is like number 2 in the country or something, and I had no idea about that before coming here. And I don't know, I mean, I can tell it's such a deep rabbit hole just from one day's like very high, surface level survey of philosophy. And I don't know, I mean, if I end up staying at Rutgers, I think there's like a decent chance I end up majoring in philosophy or something similar, or just something other than film. At this point, it feels kind of likely. I still have a film class, my second film class I have tomorrow morning. We'll see how that is. It's a continuation of a class that I had first semester, but with a different professor. So maybe it'll be a little different. Maybe I'll like it better. Maybe I'll like it worse. Who knows? I don't think it's going to blow my mind in either direction, but you never know. So, yeah, I am going, I think, to wrap up the podcast here. There's so much more that I want to talk about, but I am going to cut it off for now and get back to work on things. I will come back within the next week, hopefully with another episode, talk more about how things are going. Hopefully I'll be a little bit settled down by then. I don't know, I'm not extremely hopeful of that. I'm hopeful, but I can't say I'm expecting that to be the case. But it feels good to be moving and doing things, even when, I don't know. I hope you all have a fantastic week, and I'll see you soon.